what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Tonight's video, it is Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going over the Waiver Wire Report. Before we get started in all of that, I did kind of want to, there's a handful of news and some blurbs and stuff to go on here, so I'm just going to kind of read some of this. Dalvin Cook has been kind of the news report here says he is the victim of a domestic abuse and extortion case. So we'll see what happens there. I think I'm not worried about anything with him for football. Hope he's okay. Hope everything goes smoothly for him. Sam Darnold, though, expected to miss several weeks with a fractured scapula. So if you are in Superflex leagues, PJ Walker is going to be the starter for at least the next 3-4 games. Who knows how long? So we'll see what happens there. PJ Walker, again, Superflex leagues, he's probably the guy that you need to look for. This one was kind of weird. Speaking Tuesday, Bucs coach Bruce Arians said we still have to worry a bit about Rob Gronkowski. We saw him play before the bye week. He had the back spasms. He played maybe 5 snaps and left. He also had that rib injury that held him out so long. So it looks like he's doubtful to play Week 10 if you're hoping for Rob Gronkowski. Probably not going to see him this week, and who knows for how long. They're going to be extra cautious with him. Again, this is a team that's got Super Bowl aspirations, so they're not rushing to get Gronk back anytime soon. Ryan Fitzpatrick expected to get an MRI early this week. He should be back hopefully, and within the month of November. We'll see what happens there. Kyler Murray, the report is the ankle is improving, but the Cardinals are keeping the long term in mind with their star quarterback. So this is making me think that just if you have Murray, make sure you have a backup quarterback just in case he can't play this week. Let me continue to move down here. Tampa Bay signed Brashad Perriman. If you guys remember him back with Jameis Winston just a few years ago, Brashad Perriman comes back to Tampa. He knows the offense quite well. Royce Freeman signed by the Carolina Panthers, or signed by the Houston Texans from the Carolina Panthers. This one was kind of sneaky. This was one of the more under-the-radar tweets that I saw today. No one's really talking about it, but a pretty good beat writer for the Saints, Nick Underhill, reports that the Saints hosted 3 free agent running backs on Tuesday, and the concern is that Underhill says he adds that there are whispers of Kamara maybe getting banged up last Sunday. So we'll see. Mark Ingram would be a really good pickup if he's available in your leagues. Even if Kamara is just okay, I think Mark Ingram has proven to be a pretty useful PPR guy, maybe worth 8 to 10 PPR points per week. So I like Ingram for sure this week. He's probably a priority add for me for the rest of the season. And again, we'll see if Kamara is limited in practice and whatnot this week. The Jets put Denzel Mims on the COVID list. That's probably good news for Corey Davis coming back. Let me see here. Odell Beckham clears waivers. We'll see where he goes. Marquise Brown, full participant. Josh Reynolds was waived by the Titans. So seek a new team here. So the Odell Beckham thing, there's a report that he prioritized the Packers as his destination, so we'll see what happens there. Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee today said there's a small possibility he won't play in Week 10. It sounds like he has to clear a handful of hurdles starting in on Saturday, and all he has to do is go through a couple conditioning tests, I'm sure, as well as the medical test to clear the COVID protocols. So we'll see Saturday. I'm leaning towards it being a good news there. He looked pretty chipper today on Pat McAfee. So if you have Rodgers, I would plan on him being in, but just we can't know for sure quite yet. The Jets coach Robert Saleh said Zach Wilson won't return to the starting lineup until he's fully healthy. So Mike White, he did get hurt early in the game last week with that forearm, but it's looking like he's on track to be the starter this week. Sammy Watkins practiced today. Latavius Murray remained not practicing. So Devonta Freeman, I saw some questions from Justin in the chat room about Devonta Freeman. I like Devonta Freeman as a running back too in PPR leagues, and especially on a short week. Latavius Murray probably not going to play in this one. Tua Tagovailoa is interesting. It's a game time decision. Here's the quote from Flores: "If the game were oddly moved to tonight, Brissett would start. It's a medical decision, team decision. I have a lot of say in that." So I don't know. We'll see if Tua can play or not. I would plan on not having Tua in this one as of today, but who knows? Things could change tomorrow. With the Chase Edmonds news, Eno Benjamin is expected to see more playing time and touches with Chase Edmonds. I think Eno is probably a decent, like if you play in 12-man leagues, he's worth a pickup at the end of your bench. I'm not saying to start him, but just in case, Eno Benjamin, worth a look there. We'll see if he gets an extended run as the running back too. And then perhaps the biggest news of the day, the Browns. Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton both tested positive for COVID-19. So they're out for a while, at least the next, one game for sure, I'm assuming. We'll see what happens there. So Dearness Johnson, the waiver wire darling from just a few weeks ago, he's back. Going up against the Patriots, tough ask, but we'll see. And then we'll end the news here with Sean Payton saying he didn't consider benching Trevor Siemian. We'll see if he's the starter this week against Tennessee. And then James Robinson should be good to go against the Colts. So good news there. And I just want to make sure there's nothing else that I missed before we get into the waiver wire show. Me being just a Jerry Jeudy fan, this was a good post here. The Broncos offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur in Week 9 used pre-snap motion and tunnel/bubble screens to get the ball into Jerry Jeudy's hands. So they're finding manufactured ways to get him the ball quickly and let him do his yards after catch thing. Jerry Jeudy's a good buy low candidate at the moment right now. And that's it for the news. Let me get caught up on some of these comments. I hope everyone's having a good night. Happy Tuesday evening to you guys. Week 10, what's going on, Justin? And yeah, I hope Dalvin's okay. It's weird seeing him being the victim in something like this, but I hope everything's well for him. Freeman or Bateman? I'm going to go with Freeman, especially questions like that. I'm going to go with the guy that's going to get the touches. Freeman's probably going to touch the ball 12 to 15 times. I know Bateman's been playing well, but he's really only going to touch the ball 4 or 5, maybe 6 times at the most. So I'm going to go with Freeman. Good evening, Harris. Hope you're having a good one. I see Murray and D-Hop being out this week. Yes, I totally agree with that. Doesn't really make sense to force the issue to me. Perriman's really good for Tampa Bay. It's also interesting because it makes me just wonder how far away is Gronk or Antonio Brown removed here. So this is a safe move for Tampa Bay, kind of just on insurance on some of their other receivers. And I hope Gronk and Antonio Brown can rest up. Will Dawson Knox play? So I'm super interested in knowing that question as well. It seemed like he was on track to maybe be practicing on Wednesday. So I think tomorrow we'll have a better idea on what's going on. Let me just click on the practice reports first here. So today's Tuesday. Tuesday, we're only going to get practice reports from the Thursday night game. Tomorrow, if Knox gets a limited practice in tomorrow, I'm feeling really good about him. So it's hard to tell for now. But at the moment right now, it sounded like pretty positive that we could see him. And yeah, Odell Beckham to Green Bay. Me being a Green Bay Packer fan, I don't know if I want it. Odell's he still got some talent. I don't know. I really like Allen Lazard, MVS. Randall Cobb and the Devontae group that they have there. I just don't want to push, those guys to the peripheral. But if Odell wants to come play, you can come hang out. I like the Zach news because Mike White is doing good. And yeah, so it's kind of nice. I mean, Zach Wilson, he was thrown into the fire right away. He put some decent things on tape, but again, like he needs to just soak up a full season, learn how to, a weekly, meetings, and he just needs to learn. So I'm fine with Zach Wilson taking his sweet time here. I think I get Jimmy G and drop Hill because of Stafford news. I'm fine with that. Stafford, I didn't, for some reason, the Matt Stafford news did not come up on the NBC Sports Edge, but Agnew, Scott, Freeman, Bateman start too. I'll go with Freeman and Bateman. Miami, at the moment right now, in terms of, again, this is a link on the fantasyfellowship.com. Just click on fantasy points allowed. The Miami Dolphins giving up the 3rd most fantasy points for PPR across, all positions here. Do you think Chris Carson will come back this week? So the report that I saw last week was that he wants to play, which of course any player would. But again, the extra bye week might have helped things. I think from what I understand is typically when a player is first coming back from an injury off IR, they want him to practice for a full week. So I'm going to lean towards no. But again, it's 50-50. If he practices tomorrow, we'll see. I just think we need more practice data from the Seahawks. But anyways, let's get into the waiver wire report real quick. You can check it out. The link's in the description below the video there on YouTube. But check out all the injuries to monitor here. There's a handful of them. But quarterbacks, if you guys are streaming quarterbacks this week, I really like Derek Carr versus Kansas City. I love Carson Wentz versus Jacksonville. I like Matt Ryan at Dallas. And Teddy Bridgewater against Philadelphia. Oddly enough, so Teddy Bridgewater is kind of hard to trust, but something that really caught my eye was look how many, Philadelphia is the worst team against tight ends. So I like Noah Fant and I like Albert O this week. They've given up 67 catches to the tight ends alone this year. The next closest team has looks like 55 catches. So Eagles, they've also given up 8 touchdowns to the tight end position. So Fant and Albert O interest me quite a bit right now. And then Ben Roethlisberger, he just has a cream puff matchup against Detroit. I can see him just having a nice 2-touchdown, 200+ yard day. He feels like a safe QB1 start here. And then if you do play in Superflex, again, we mentioned I'm going to have to put PJ Walker on this list here with Sam Darnold out for a while. But if you need Superflex help, Tyrod Taylor, Mike White, Taysom Hill, Jimmy G, Jared Goff. Jimmy G and Jared Goff are probably owned, but perhaps Trevor Siemian, Geno Smith, I'm probably going to take off the list, and then maybe Colt McCoy gets to start this week, and we'll see about Jacoby Brissett. But we'll move on to the running backs. That's a little bit more exciting part of the waiver wire show. Will Zach Moss clear concussion protocol? That's hard for me to say. Again, I think Wednesday will be the big day for Zach Moss. If he only really needs to practice Thursday and Friday. He could have the day off tomorrow too, but I haven't seen anything quite as far as news on Zach Moss yet. So tomorrow will be a big day for Zach Moss. If Zach Moss plays, Moss and Singletary are in for really good weeks this week going up against the Jets, who allow, let me go to the running backs. The Jets are allowing by far the most PPR points to the running backs. They've allowed 16 touchdowns to the running backs. So tons of stats flowing through the running back here. And then as we're looking at the running backs to waiver here, I guess the running backs to add on the waivers, these guys are all under 70% rostered here. So the guys at the top of the list, again, probably already owned, but Kenyon Drake played really well. Fun matchup against Kansas City. Tony Pollard, I think he still looks good. If anyone drops him, he's worth a stash here. Devin Singletary, again, with the Zach Moss concussion protocols, we don't know. Even if Moss plays, I don't know if Singletary is going to get more work than him. So I'm probably trying to start Devin Singletary this week against the Jets. A.J. Dillon against Seattle. We're seeing A.J. Dillon get more involved as a receiver, not at the expense of Aaron Jones, but I'm interested, especially as it gets colder. A.J. Dillon's probably going to have more and more work put on his plate. Jeremy McNichols, I know it wasn't a great game for any of the running backs in Tennessee last week. I think all of them had under 10 PPR points, but McNichols actually led the running backs in snaps. He's the clear receiving back there, so I like McNichols in a tough matchup where I don't expect teams can't really run against the Saints. They have to kind of throw the ball and figure out a way to get around that defensive front. Boston Scott against Denver doesn't feel as great anymore. J.D. McKissick, this is probably a J.D. McKissick week. We know teams can't really run against Tampa Bay, so if Tampa Bay is putting up a ton of points, you're probably going to see more J.D. McKissick this week. Adrian Peterson, he's more of a boom-bust touchdown guy. But the pickup of the week is probably D'Ernest Johnson. If anyone dropped him hastily here, he's getting the start against New England. And then we just got a bunch of guys here that I don't really feel too great about, but Naheem Hines looked good last week. Alex Collins might be starting this week instead of Chris Carson. Gainwell's interesting. He got the goal line carry last week and the touchdown, but I don't feel great about rostering Gainwell at this moment right now. It looks like Jordan Howard down here is probably the guy. David Johnson's on bye, whatever. Latavius Murray, probably droppable at this point. I think Devonta Freeman's going to probably hold on to this job for the foreseeable future. Sony Michel looked good. He had the receiving touchdown last week. I think if you own Darrell Henderson, you want to have Sony Michel as the handcuff here. So I like stashing Michel. Carlos Hyde, I was excited with James Robinson likely back. Ronald Jones, just a pure handcuff here. But now we get to some fun guys that are probably available in most leagues, and that's Mark Ingram. He had, I think it was 11 PPR points last week. He caught all 5 of his targets. He had 9 carries, 43 yards rushing. Ingram's going to be a healthy piece of this offense, even if Kamara were healthy. And if Kamara were hurt, like Mark Ingram might be my favorite pickup of the week here. Because if there is some kind of injury to Kamara, we might just see a little bit more work put towards Mark Ingram's plate. And again, he's a really good passing weapon. He's got a high floor in PPR league. So I like Mark Ingram. Ty Johnson, I know he fumbled on Thursday Night Football, but he did play well. He got the touchdown. He scored touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. He's kind of like a decent floor guy in PPR leagues. And then Devonta Freeman. If you can't get Ingram, try to get Devonta Freeman. He's even more widely available in more leagues here. And he looks good, actually. Like I watched the majority of that Vikings game, and Freeman does look pretty good, and he is the primary receiving back here. Jordan Howard going up against Denver. I just want to look real quick. How many fantasy points? So Denver, kind of one of the stingier teams against the running back here, but we know it seems like the Eagles are going to go more run heavy. That seems to be like that puts them in a better chance to win than having Jalen Hurts throw the ball 30+ times. They'd rather run the ball 30+ times. And then the last guy I'll shout out here is Eno Benjamin against the Rams. So let me know if you guys have running back questions. Let's see here. Schultz or Higbee rest of season. I'm probably going to go with Tyler Higbee. And the reason I like Higbee is because, like, we know, so Stafford throws a lot of touchdowns. He's been playing well. And when you consider the passing pie, it's Kupp, Woods, Van Jefferson, and Higbee. Higbee and Jefferson are kind of the number 3, number 4 target for the Cowboys. Like, you're dealing with Cooper, Lamb, Gallup's going to be back. Cedric Wilson's, like, there's more mouths to feed in Dallas, so I feel more consistent with Higbee probably. I wouldn't be afraid to move on from Schultz. Pick one: Jay Cook, Knox, Logan Thomas, non-PPR. Non-PPR, so Jared Cook going up against the Vikings. Logan Thomas is back against Tampa Bay. Let me go look at my tight end stats here. So Tampa Bay allows the 7th most points to the tight end. That's interesting. Jared Cook going up against Minnesota, whereas the Vikings are one of the best teams against the tight ends here. So I'm going to rule Jared Cook out of this one here for me. Vikings haven't even allowed a tight end touchdown yet. So it's between Knox and probably Logan Thomas. Where's Buffalo's ranking? The Jets do allow a lot of points. I'm probably going to roll with Dawson Knox if he gets cleared. Otherwise, I'm okay with Logan Thomas. Devonta Freeman or Devin Singletary for this week? That one's interesting. If you told me Zach Moss is not going to play, I'm going with Devin Singletary all day. But it's hard to know that. And with the Ravens playing on Thursday Night Football, I'm probably going to lean with Devonta Freeman being the safest play. I feel really good about Freeman. But Singletary is probably a guy you want to have. If this is a waiver wire question, I want both guys on my team, honestly. But if you can hold out for Sunday and see if Singletary is going to get the lone work there in the backfield, I like Singletary, but I think I got to say Freeman for now. What's going on, Porsche? How's your leagues doing this year? So I have 4 leagues that are money leagues. I do have the free league with everybody that usually watches the videos here. So how am I doing in that league? I had a tough week last week. My quarterback has not been going good. So I'm 4-5 in this league. So that one's not very fun. I am first in my division in another league. And then 2 dynasty leagues. I'm in, I have a dynasty league where I'm 6-3, a dynasty league where I think I'm 4-5. I'm right on the fringe here, but we're getting healthy in that one. And then the most important league, I've just been bashed with injuries where I had Rodgers, I had Russ, I had Tua, I had Gallup, I had Judy. Just tons of injuries have hit that team, but we're idle. We're right on the fringe of the playoffs. So everything's still good. Not eliminated in any leagues, but we're starting to get healthy, so that's fun. Freeman or Howard? I'm going with Freeman. It's a better matchup, I believe. Let me see where the running backs are for the Dolphins. Miami, where are you? Miami Dolphins. Why can't I find you? So Miami's ranking 17th against the running back. They average about 24 points per game to the running backs here. And the Broncos getting a little bit stiffer. They allow about 21, so I'm going to go with Freeman in that one. But let's move on and take a peek real quick at the wide receivers. There's a huge list of receivers here. A handful of guys. The Giants receivers are all on bye. So Galladay, Shepard, and Toney. If any of these guys get cut over the weekend, I think they're worth holding on to. I'm open to the Giants being pesky and having a better offense down the stretch as the receivers get healthy. Robbie Anderson, go ahead. I'm done with Robbie Anderson. You guys should be done with him too. Laviska Shenault, I'm this close to being done with Laviska Shenault. But at the top of the list, I do have I have Christian Kirk versus Carolina. Played really well with the backup there, Colt McCoy. Michael Gallup, it sounds like he's on track to play his basically his debut from week 1 against Atlanta here. I like Michael Gallup. He's only 50% rostered too, which seems really low. Mooney on bye, whatever. But Brandon Ayuk, man, he had a really great game the other day here. So he's a guy that if you've seen the 49ers schedule the rest of the way, you should be excited about their weapons on that offense. Mecole Hardman, hard to trust. I like Van Jefferson. He's a guy that's on the field a lot for the Rams. He's the clear number 3 wide receiver. I'm open to having him on my bench in 12-man leagues. Marquez Callaway, Caught a touchdown last week. He continues to look good. A nice matchup against Tennessee. Will Fuller, just with the health of the receivers in Miami, Will Fuller probably not going to play this week, but he might be back in a week or two. So if he gets dropped or if he's hanging around there, he's the guy worth just putting on your IR until then. AJ Green, we'll see if he clears COVID. I do like Jamison Crowder against Buffalo. He's going to be a nice PPR kind of option for you. Rondale Moore, probably not happening for Rondale Moore anytime soon. Brian Edwards had the 0 last week. I don't know if I'm trusting him. But now we get to a handful of guys that I do like. Rashad Bateman at Miami. Again, Miami's defense is not great, guys. They allow the 4th most wide receiver points in PPR format. So Rashad Bateman, Marquise Brown. We'll see if Sammy Watkins can go, but I like all the Ravens receivers. Tim Patrick continues to play well, even with Jerry Jeudy back. Cortland Sutton kind of appears to be the odd man out. So I like Tim Patrick. He's kind of the guy that the defenses respect Jeudy. They respect Sutton. And usually the worst quarterback gets Tim Patrick. Although Patrick did some nice things against Diggs last week. Randall Cobb against Seattle, not really excited about it. But Russell Gage took his spot back as the lead receiver last week for Atlanta. He's going up against Dallas. I'll be interested in him. Elijah Moore had the breakout 2-touchdown performance on Thursday Night Football. Going up against Buffalo, I'm excited about him. But again, Corey Davis is likely on track to play this week. You got Alan Lazard against Seattle. Just an emergency wide receiver 3 flex option. But Zach Pascal. So I've been looking at the numbers, and if T.Y. Hilton's out, I do like Zach Pascal in this one against Jacksonville. And then we just got a few guys here, just kind of bottom of the barrel here. Tajay Sharp, maybe worth holding in a 12-man league. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I have a soft spot for him. He did look good last week. It was his first game back from his hamstring injury. I expect him to be back rolling with Rodgers soon. Jamal Agnew still getting enough targets to be useful in 12-man leagues. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's going to be the number 2 receiver for Baker Mayfield the rest of the year. He's worth a stash. And then picking Saints receiver, I like Traquan Smith. He has been playing well with Simeon the last couple weeks. So tons of receivers help. That's the easiest position to pick up a quick 8 to 10 points. Pick 2. Well, I can't click on it. Why can't I click on it? Dawson Knox, Logan Thomas, Noah Fant, Schultz. If I had to pick 2 for this week, Noah Fant is my first choice. Again, we highlighted at the top of the show that the Eagles give up the most PPR points to the tight end position, so I love Noah Fant. With Logan Thomas coming back, I'm interested and slightly hesitating because Ricky Seals-Jones looked good with Logan Thomas sidelined. So I don't know if we're going to see Logan Thomas step right back into his 100% workload. So I'm kind of iffy there. So if Knox plays, I want Dawson Knox in there. So I'm going to rank them as Fant, Knox, Thomas, Schultz. Can I drop Jermaine Nichols and Boston Scott? Rest of season for the tight ends. For the tight ends, I want Knox and Logan Thomas. Can I drop Jeremy McNichols and Boston Scott? I'm probably more open to dropping Boston Scott. That feels a little bit more unpredictable. And again, Harris, you play mostly, I think most of your questions are standard questions. So both these guys probably aren't going to be much help for you here. If you can get a guy like Mark Ingram, that could be a lot of fun there, guys who are going to get the rushing touchdown. So Jordan Howard and Mark Ingram would be more valuable for you. So we'll see here. Drake or Johnson David? What's going on, Fabian? I'll go with the Texans are so hard to trust, man. Like, give me Kenyon Drake. He's looked really good as a pass receiver so far this year. The Raiders' offense is kind of playing well, and they play against the Chiefs, so we'll see. I do like Kenyon Drake better than David Johnson and the Texans. Do I give up or just continue? We never give up. We always continue playing. You can always tinker that roster. And who knows? You're 2-7. It's halfway through the season. Sometimes, well, it depends on your league setting. For me, pretty much all my leagues, and this needs to be a thing that I think more leagues adopt. But the last seed in your playoffs, it should be in on most points, not based on record. Because say you're 2-7 like Fabian here, and you played the toughest schedule. A lot of times fantasy football comes down to luck and when you play and who you play. So it's always a good idea. That last playoff spot, say you play in a 12-man league, and if you have 6 teams making the playoffs, top 5 records should make it, and that 6th seed should be in on most points. But I also have to say, if you play in 12-man leagues, you should be having 7 teams in your playoffs. That is, to me, the best way. And then you basically, with the 7-team playoff, it's just structured just like the NFL playoff. So the 1 seed gets the bye. Everybody else plays that first weekend. So if you play in 12-mans, entertain yourself. The 7-team playoff format with the last seed getting the most points bid there. Who's a good stash at the receiver position for the rest of the season? And can I drop Hunter Renfrow? Renfrow's been super steady, man. I don't know if I'd want to drop Renfrow. He is one of the clear trust players for Derek Carr. Let me go see if we can find some stashable wide receivers for you. I really like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's one of my favorites to potentially stash here. Once he gets rolling, he's going to be a lot of fun. But as far as stashing players, I like Traquan Smith. Like, someone in that Saints offense is going to be kind of fun. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Tim Patrick, probably worth stashing. If anything happens to Sutton or Judy, Tim Patrick's a stasher. Brandon Ayuk is definitely a stasher. Let me go a little bit deeper here. I'm running out of players to name. Let me filter by all receivers. And let's go take a look down here. So I'm kind of looking below 50% here. Gallup is a guy worth stashing. He's available in 50% of leagues. I think Will Fuller's worth a stash for sure. Keep in mind, Will Fuller, he only signed a 1-year deal with Miami, so he's technically playing for another contract, whether it's with Miami or another team. So I think Will Fuller still has something to prove here. Rashad Bateman, definitely worth a stash. Bateman's been looking really good as a rookie wide receiver. 29 yards, 80 yards, 52 yards, 6 and 8 total targets in 3 games this year. So I like Bateman quite a bit. Randall Cobb, Russell Gage, Elijah Moore. Let me see if I can find another one. I really like Marquez Valdes-Scantling as a guy that you just never know. Rodgers owes him a handful of touchdowns from earlier in the season. But it's hard to find some guys. So I hope some of those guys I mentioned are good plays here for you. What's a good pickup at the quarterback position for this week and next week? So I'm gonna filter here kind of below. I'll go Kirk Cousins and below. I'm assuming Tannehill's owned in most leagues. So for this week, Carr against Kansas City, Carson Wentz against Jacksonville. Those are both really fun matchups. If I go below here, maybe Matt Ryan at Dallas, but let me take a look at the weeks ahead. So if I come back down here, so Derek Carr gets Kansas City and Cincinnati. That seems to be a pretty nice duo there. Carson Wentz, Jacksonville, and at Buffalo. I don't really like the at Buffalo situation. Matt Ryan gets Dallas and New England at home. I don't know if I love that. If you told me Tua Tagovailoa is going to play against Baltimore, he does get the Jets next week. So if you can get, you can pick up Tannehill. Okay. So Tannehill, I have a feeling the Titans are going to struggle to run the ball against the Saints this week. So it might be a Tannehill passing game. And then he does get Houston next week. So I guess in a way, Tannehill's probably the best pickup. But if you wanted to avoid the Saints this week, I really like Derek Carr. Kansas City and Cincinnati the next 2 weeks, I think I would vote for Derek Carr if you wanted someone there. But I do like Tannehill. And again, he gets Houston next week. So that looks really good. If you could play each week separately, I would say Carson Wentz against Jacksonville and then Tannehill against Houston. But that's I understand that might not be doable for you. But anyways, we're going on about 28 minutes here. I'll hang out for another few more minutes. I want to cover tight ends real quick. Looking at Zach Ertz against Carolina, it's fine. I don't love it. Jared Cook has a really tough matchup against Minnesota, but if any of these tight ends are available, that's Dawson Knox against the Jets. If he can play, I'm trying to start him up in all my lineups. We'll know better on Knox too tomorrow. If he can get a limited practice in tomorrow, he's on track to play. Hunter Henry against Cleveland, he's just been a touchdown machine. I think he scored 5 touchdowns in the last 6 games. Tyler Conklin against the Chargers, he's been coming on pretty nicely here, and I believe the Chargers allow the 5th most tight end points in PPR format. So Conklin, a good play against the Chargers. And Logan Thomas, man, I can't believe people were letting Logan Thomas go against Tampa Bay. That's a good matchup here for him. And then Big Pat Freiermuth. If you need a tight end one the rest of the season, Pat Freiermuth is playing Really good ball for a rookie tight end here at home against Detroit. I like that matchup. And the guy that's available in way too many leagues is Dan Arnold. He's been flirting with double digits the last few games in PPR leagues. Dan Arnold's probably at this point, Dan Arnold's the best receiver on the Jacksonville Jaguars to start in fantasy. So I like Arnold. And just with Russell Wilson coming back, I'm open to Gerald Everett being more involved in the offense. So he's worth keeping. And then if you want to stash people on buys, Cole Kmet looked really good with Justin Fields last night. Evan Ingram has caught 2 touchdowns in a row. Those guys, I think, are both worth holding on to in hopes of that they can be a top 10 streamer when they come back from their bye weeks. Pick one, non-PPR, Judy, Miles Sanders, or Zach Moss. Jerry Judy all day. Jerry Judy all day. Do you think Antonio Brown will play? I don't think Antonio Brown's playing this week. I probably more doubtful than anything. So I don't see it being optimistic for Antonio Brown. So plan to be without him. But if you're streaming defenses this week, the Broncos at home against Philly. They just laid a really nice game over there against Dallas. The Ravens against Miami, especially if no Tua. The Browns and the Patriots, that's going to be an old-fashioned rock fight, so that could be a lot of fun. Packers against Seattle. The Packers defense, man, the people were kind of making fun of it earlier in the season, but they have been playing really well the last month or so. So I like the Packers. Again, it's at home against Seattle. Russell Wilson's first game back. We'll see. But Packers have been holding teams to not a lot of points. And then maybe the Titans against the Saints. Again, it's Trevor Siemian. If Alvin Kamara can't go, Titans did hold down the Rams last week and did some nice things there. So those are some interesting pieces on defense there for you. Do you think I can drop him? I'm okay with dropping Antonio Brown. If you have 4 or 5 better receivers on your team right now, and you need a piece that can help you win this week, or you see the opportunity to grab someone like a really useful running back or something, I'm okay with dropping Antonio Brown. Again, we don't know the timetable of when he's going to return. They've been kind of non-specific about it. So if you have, again, 4 or 5 receivers better than Antonio Brown, I'm okay with it, especially if you don't have an IR spot and he keeps getting ruled out. But we'll see on Antonio Brown. But any other questions before we get out of here tonight? Fire them up real quick. We're going to be doing a basketball show tomorrow night, so that's Wednesday evenings. But we'll be back on Thursday night, so come back with your start sits. We'll go live just before 6:30 before the Thursday night kickoff there, so we'll get all that stuff in there. And then if you guys do have questions, you can always reach me on Twitter at theFellowKGB. You can follow me there, or check us out on TikTok, Facebook, wherever. You can always hit me up with questions, and definitely check out thefantasyfellowship.com. But this was fun. Thursday nights, we'll get back into some start-sit stuff. And again, if you guys have any questions real quick, don't be afraid to hit me up. Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a good night. Good luck on your waiver wires, your claims, your free agent bids. And thank you again. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.